it's very wild going from writers' rooms where you're taking 2 weeks to 2 months to craft a story, and then going over to Dimension 20 and crafting the same amount of story or more in 2 hours. It's very, it's weird.
I love Dimension 20. It is one of my favorite shows, and this season is both hilarious and terrifying. So it's a great combo.
Oh God, a car just blinded me through my open window. Yeah, it's I feel like the most dramatic season that we've done. But it's still funny. There's still silly, funny, goofy bits.
Well, but especially Jason.
Yes, Jason's a silly boy. But I think that the big difference for us all is like it's much more character-based comedy rather than like us doing little bits as an aside.
I love it. Can you talk to me a little bit about your character creation process and what you were excited to play with Jason that you haven't gotten to with other characters?
Yeah, I wanted to play a character that was more of like a martial build. And I had actually come up sort of with this character a little bit for Never After. One of the characters that I pitched pitched Sleeping Beauty, but I also pitched Peter Rabbit. And had this sort of Haringen monk build. And it made more sense with the characters that everybody else was doing to play Sleeping Beauty for that campaign. But I still had that like, oh, but that sounds really fun though. And then Abria came and said, do you want to do this season that's sort of Watership Downish? And I was like, yes, I do. And I know exactly what I'm going to play. Yes, I beat the system.
And then your dynamic with Izzy is one of my favorite parts of just the first 2 episodes alone. Did you guys develop that before, or did that happen organically?
We always have a session 0 where we play with no cameras rolling. And I think we did a little bit of it in the session 0, but we just sort of naturally fell into that pattern of like 2 hyperactive 8-year-olds talking over each other. That was just really fun to do, of like, well, anytime she's talking to a grown-up, I'm going to start talking to a grown-up and say exactly the same thing as she's saying, but in a slightly different way. That just, it was just fun. It was just a fun little game for us to play.
I love it. Her, like, the introduction to the game of you guys just immediately attacking each other was perfect.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old brother who absolutely rules. I love him to bits, but he definitely has some of that, like, oh, there's a little bit too much untapped energy here. Oh, wrestling? Oh, again? I'm old.
Can you talk to me a little bit about differentiating the sibling relationship between Jason and Lila versus Jet and Ruby?
Yeah, it's funny. I sort of didn't mean to play 2 twins. It sort of happened organically. But I mean, Jet and Ruby being not adults, but like old enough that they think that they're adults, is such a big difference between that and being like, I feel like 8, 9 is like the last real years of childhood, and then you get into like tweendom and you become very like, it's the last moment that you're unself-conscious about yourself.
Yeah,
you sort of swing around and punch things, and you're not like necessarily not self-aware, but like aware of others' perception of you. Which is really fun to play. And it's just always fun to play a sibling. There's so much backstory that's already written for you within that, of like, these are 2 kids whose dad died at a point in their childhood that they remember their dad, but they also have had a couple of the equivalent of human years of him being gone. And how does that affect that dynamic of like, well, I'm going to fight you constantly for attention, but also because I'm 8, but also I would kill for you because I've seen the pain that you've gone through and I've gone through it too. It was so fun playing at this table, just in terms of like the ability to just like throw something down and have somebody pick it up without having to say anything explicitly. Just throwing each other little gifts and running with it was just like really delightful. Yeah, I loved it. It was a really good time.
That's awesome. And then can you talk to me a little bit about how Abria's DM style differs from Brennan's, because you play with Brennan as your GM so often?
I mean, I think in many ways it is difficult for me to put my finger on exactly how they do it differently, because they're both so excellent.
Yeah.
That I feel fully immersed immediately. And then I'm just in character and I'm playing, and I'm not sitting there as an outsider analyzing like, oh, that's different. But they do feel different. There is a different energy to them in a way that I like. It was really fun playing at somebody else's table. But I don't know. I truly don't have the analytical ability to tell you how they're different, because I was just in it. They're both great. They're both wonderful. My notes are, I have no notes. I don't know.
I love it. And like, can you talk about playing with Brennan as a player, especially because he's playing your mom this season?
I've played with Brennan a couple times as a player, and it's always very interesting. The thing that I was joking about going into this is like, Brennan always min-maxes his player characters in a way that's insane. And he actively went into this season not doing that and creating a character that's like actually doesn't have the ideal stats for the class that she's playing. And it's more she's really trying her best, but she's also so tired. She's so tired. She really just tried her best. And I don't know. I mean, I love playing with Brennan. I feel very spoiled in this job because everybody's just that good that I never have to worry about anybody. I'm never annoyed by anybody else at the table. You know, having done a lot of comedy and a lot of improv comedy, I feel like so much of my experience early on was like, I feel like we're communicating badly, and I feel like we're doing a bad job, and I feel like I'm giving out gifts and you're not picking them up, and you're giving out gifts and I'm not picking them up, and like, what are we doing? And I never have to worry about it at any time when I'm sitting at the Dimension 20 table, because everybody's such a generous improviser. And Brennan played such a sweet, gentle, sad mom. It was really adorable to see.
I mean, you guys continuously gave his character heart attacks by doing things like air.
Yes, but it's purpose. I don't know. It's just like, I gotta climb that rock. There's nothing I can do. I have to do it. Which I feel like is very, the devil blesses the most anxious parents with the most brave children, and that's just how it goes.
I was actually going to ask you about that. Jason kind of steps up in both episodes. Like, he leads his family away from the danger and then immediately jumps into danger to help his grandmother. Can you talk about leaning into that kind of bravery and heroism with this character who for all intents and purposes, is an 8-year-old.
I mean, I think that one of the things that I love about 8-year-olds is that, or at least this specific type of 8-year-old, is that they are often incredibly fearless. And a lot of that is because they have no idea that they can die. And they aren't really thinking about the future, and they're not analyzing life in that way of like, well, if I do this, I could hurt myself. It's my grandma's in danger. I got to help her. And I can. And they often think that they are more capable than they are, which is adorable and very cute. And also just 8-year-olds have such a very defined sense of justice. It's very black or white in a way, again, that's like very fun to play and very, I hope, fun to watch. Like, I remember at 8 years old was the peak time where I was like, can you read us a grim fairy tale? But I want the gory version. I want the gory version where the people who are bad get put in a barrel and then there's nails put in the barrel and it gets rolled down the hill, because that's what should happen to bad people. Whereas adults, you're like, well, actually, there's like nuance to that. And maybe they're bad. They're doing bad things to this person for a reason. And there's, maybe they got hurt as a child and they should actually... but when you're 8, you're like, no, put them in a barrel and fill it with nails and roll it down a hill into the sea. They should die. And like that, I don't know, that's just very fun to play. And also 8-year-olds are very, they do have incredibly fast reflexes, and they are very nimble and good at jumping around. And I feel like we underestimate children of that age a lot. And if we let them, they would be more astonishing than they are allowed to be currently in our current society, I think.
Well, I agree with you. I went through a haunted house yesterday, and my friend's 9-year-old I had in front of me. She was fine. I was terrified.
You're like,
fine. And then the set design is next level. The puppet animation, the bear. How has that been?
It's so amazing, and they do such a good job of hiding that. Like, we had no idea that a full puppet animation was going to start playing. It was just blue, and then suddenly it was just a full movie happening behind us. They hide the minis. They are so good. They're like locked down. We have no idea what is going to happen until we step into that dome. And the work that they did, I mean, every season they outdo themselves, and it's so impressive. It's just amazing to me. And this bear is maybe the nastiest thing I've ever seen. It was so disgusting. I kept on having to touch it. I kept on being like,
what did the email say that Abria sent you guys?
It's somewhere deep in Gmail. But I mean, she did a very good job of like, hey, just so you know, like, if there's going to be something nasty. So like, if you have, I think it was a body horror warning. Like if you have problems with body horror, there will be body horror. So just so you know.
It was more of an FYI.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was a warning that happened before we started playing, because I think that at least some of the battle maps had been discussed, and that was definitely something that Abria really wanted to do. So when she asked us to play, she was like, just so you know, it'll be gross and gory.
It was gnarly. I don't know how you guys did that. I had to pause and walk away for a second. I was like,
oh yeah, I bet.
That was insane. And then we have Fantasy High Junior Year coming back, which I'm very excited for.
I am too. I mean, I'm excited for you guys to watch it. It was really fun to do. It's a goof fest of a season. It's like really silly, goofy, funny, goofy times.
That's the best for it. That's exactly what that should be.
Yeah. But it was so fun. Like, it took us a while to get back to it because we really wanted to make sure that it was the right story and the right ideas. Um, and I think it was. I mean, it was really, really fun. There's some really great, fun new mechanics. Some of the battles that we did were just like so clever and so fun to play in and like really, really memorable, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm really trying not to give you anything specific because the Dimension 20 fans are the best detectives in the world.
Yeah.
But, I think it's really good. I mean, I remember we had a really good time making it. And that's all I can go by, you know.
I'm sure it'll be good. Like Fantasy High is always great. That's one of those ones that I watched very early on in Finding Dimension 20, and that's one of the ones that got me hooked right away.
It's funny. It's one of those, like, when we recorded that first season, we really had no idea. We had no idea if it would work. And I just remember coming out of the old College Humor building at like 11 at night and all of us walking down the street going, is this good? I think maybe this is good. I think we're making something. This feels good, right? Like, you know, because you never quite know, but also you after as many years as we've been doing this, like you start to get an inkling of like, oh, maybe this is one of the good ones.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are 20 seasons in now. What is that like?
It's wild. I mean, they need to let Brennan rest. That poor man.
Yeah.
This working man in show business. But yeah, it's wild that there's so much of it already. It makes me very happy that I get to do it. Like, I really feel very lucky. Especially as an actor, it's like I don't really audition anymore because I mostly write and then I get my acting like needs out on Dimension 20. But auditioning for stuff, it's so annoying. As an actor, you're like, oh, you know, here I am playing auditioning for these same often unfunny roles. And in Dimension 20, it's so freeing to be able to be like, I can play anyone. You know, I can play an heiress and then I can go and play an 8-year-old boy. And I'm allowed. They let me. They let me do anything. They let me do what I want. I can touch the bat.
I love all your characters. They're so different, but all so much fun. Like, I think exploring mental health through Adine is so cool. And then, like, on the complete opposite side, Jason going, watch me jump off a rock and just getting pummeled by this. Perfect.
Fun is the thing that I'm always chasing. Even in more serious stories like Burrow's End, I feel like as long as we're having fun at the table, and fun doesn't necessarily have to mean like, you know, there are very serious moments in Burrow's End, but it's still fun to play a serious moment. As long as we're having fun, I think it's fun to watch. And that's always what I try and make sure that, like, is this going to be fun? Is this going to be fun for 6 or 10 or 20 episodes?
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the weird advantages that ADHD gives you is because you get so bored so easily. For me anyway, I get bored very, very easily. So as long as I'm not boring myself, I'm probably not boring other people.
So weirdly helpful
when you're storytelling. Yeah, it's like, well, I'm bored. Maybe I need to add some other little piece of flavor in here. It's like a useful, like almost like a divining rod for me, I think.
It's working.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope that it continues to. I hope that we get to keep making this for years because it's really, really, really puts the rest of my work to shame. Like, it really is so much more fun than anything else. Being a writer's room, it's great, and I feel very proud of that work. But it's very wild going from writer's rooms where you're taking 2 weeks to 2 months to craft a story, and then going over to Dimension 20 and crafting the same amount of story or more in 2 hours. It's very it's weird. Oh yeah, no, I don't think I have anything more.
Can you talk about playing with a familiar table like the Intrepid Heroes versus the Stupendous Stoats, which is people that you've played with before, but kind of a new makeup and some newbies to the dome?
It was different in a way that was really fun. It felt much more like the Theatre Kids season. It felt like, I said this in an interview earlier, but it really felt like doing a play. Yeah. In a way that other seasons haven't. Like, it really, we did it really quickly. Somebody got COVID and then we had to shoot the whole thing in like 10 days. And we all kind of went a little more extra than we do normally in Intrepid Hero seasons of like hair and makeup and clothes. And then I don't know, it just felt very much more like a we got to put on the school play because this is it. This is my thing for the year. It was delightful. I mean, everybody was so good that you can really fall into them and know that they're going to catch you, which was great. Much less ribbing than in an Intrepid Hero season. Like, Intrepid Hero seasons, because we know each other so well, we're much meaner to each other when the cameras aren't rolling. And also when the cameras are rolling, but like, we're horrible to each other when the cameras, and especially to Murph. Poor Murph, he loves it. He loves to be roasted. He roasts, he gives what he gets. But it's there's a lot more zingers in Intrepid Hero seasons. This was much more, and I think maybe also partly because we were playing a family, it was very supportive, and like everybody was so good at like checking in with each other, and like it was like really sweet.
I'm really enjoying the family dynamic. Is there a specific like dynamic in the season that was surprisingly just more fun than you expected to play with?
It's all fun, but I especially loved playing the relationship between Jason and his grandma. Okay. It was just like really surprising to me. I just sort of hadn't thought about it that much. And I don't know, it's always like I only grew up with one grandmother, and she definitely didn't have favorites, or if she did, she was like not open about it. She was like very, very much like, I love all of my grandchildren. And to have a grandmother who's like, oh, I can win this woman's love. This is a competition, and she's made it very clear. It was like really fun to play with.
Yeah, Erica as the grandmother is shockingly hilarious yet scary in the best way.
Yeah, they absolutely killed it at this like if you're on her good side, she'll give you anything you want. And if you piss her off even a little bit, then you're in so much trouble. You're just in so much trouble. It's so bad. Grandma's so mad at me.
I love it. Yeah. Can you talk about like the playing with Rashawn and Jasper, who are newer to the dome?
Yes. I mean, again, they just killed it so much. It really, I was so impressed with both of them. They brought so much depth to both of these characters, and they're such incredible, like, intuitive actors. That it was really, really nice to have, like, both of them are like really experienced, well-trained theater actors. And it was really nice having that at the table, and having that sort of depth of knowledge at the table and depth of experience, which it's just like a slightly different skill set than the rest of us who are all like improv people.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if I can point to any specific moment where that came out. It just was like imbued throughout both of their performances. And neither of them are afraid to like, hey, we're going there.
Yeah.
Like I felt like their performances were both very brave. And like, I remember both of them, there were moments where they said something. I was like, oh, I would never, it's so brave. Really. You're saying it. You're saying the thing out loud. That was like, I don't know. It makes me feel very lovey-dovey. It makes me feel very actory to be like, these actors, they're incredible. But they really are. They're great.
This season's so great. We're only 2 episodes in. I've watched both of them like at least twice. It's
great. And they only get better. I honestly think like the story that Abria managed to weave for this season is really virtuosic. Like she's so talented. And I can't wait to get to sit at another of her tables. Fingers crossed, God willing. Like just like a really beautifully woven story. And yeah, I'm so excited. And I don't think anybody, I've been monitoring a little bit on the DL, just looking at what people have said. And so there's some people with some pretty good guesses, but also like nobody has any idea what's gonna happen. You got no idea.
Yeah, I very much like in episode 1 was like, I think I have a handle on this. Nope.
Nope. You'll see.
Jason in episode 2 going, all of my friends are dead. And then so quickly moving past that was like just the perfect moment for the season for me. Because I'm like, that was hilarious. But oh my God.
Yes, there's some darkness here, it was really fun to play in that space. But also as a child that's like lives so absolutely totally in the moment that whatever he is in is normal to him.
Yeah.
It's like fun to hold both of those truths in your hands at the same time.
Oh, it's so great. I'm so excited to see the rest of the season. I'm excited to see more of you as Jason, because I think Jason's my favorite this season. Jason
I just truly was so much fun playing a little scam, especially like I love playing with the Intrepid Heroes, but there are enough chaos players on that table that I feel like I end up being somewhat more of a voice of reason more than not. We all have our chaotic moments, but they're like, I feel like more often than not, me and Murph are like, okay, what are we doing here? Let's everybody calm down. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been like both of these side quests, I went into it being like, how can I be a goblin?
Oh yeah. You and Mentopolis, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I loved playing Jason. It was really silly, really fun, goofy times.
Oh, I love it. Can't wait for more. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Like I said, you guys are so great with this. I'm so excited for more of Burrow's End. I'm excited for Fantasy High Junior Year. All of it.
Hey, we keep on making content as long as you guys keep watching it.